Hello, good evening. Welcome along to the JACKOCAR Cup Series. Yes, we're late again. And it is Season 9, Round 16, as you can see, here in Monaco. Look at us, racing on the same track as F1 this weekend. With a random calendar, I'm surprised we haven't managed that more often. But here we are for what is the last race of the playoffs, the last race of the chase. We already have one of our Championship 5 sailed. That is Ben Shaw. Congratulations to him. He is also our Joker tonight, which is going to put a real spanner in the works because he could do whatever he wants tonight. The rest of them are all going to be driving for their lives. I'm a commentator, Owen White. With me in commentary, kind of, not for very long most likely, is going to be Jacko. Also joining me later on, in about half an hour, according to Jacko, will be Gareth. Because as you can see on the screen, Jacko is going to be racing, aren't you?
Yes. And the original idea, hello everyone, the original idea was to do a little bit of driver commentary, fill the gap that Leroy has left us with. Let me just get this tweet out. And then Gareth made another gap
as well.
Yeah, sorry. I did 2 laps practice, and I thought, you know what, I ain't going to be able to commentate over this. So I've abandoned Owen, and we're going to abuse the fact that Gareth is not racing, and he will join you in commentary. So you'll get a good finale, I reckon, for the postseason.
The thing is, it'll be a good preview for next week, obviously, because Gareth, once again, isn't going to be in the Championship 5. So it'll just give us a chance to get used to us back in commentary, because he's not going to be in the box on Tuesday, is he? I am. But based on what you're telling me, Gareth's done a runner, has he, or what?
He's coming back from a family get-together over in Bristol, and he's got caught in traffic.
For Tuesday, I mean.
Tuesday.
Yes.
He's gone on holiday.
What an idiot. Does he not realise what week that is? Even I'm not on holiday. And I'm the one who hasn't been showing up. That's really poor from him. So, yeah, that's a spoiler alert. You're going to be stuck with me on Tuesday as well. I haven't commented on the Kia series for a good while, but yes, I'll be doing both Championship 5s next week, which, to be fair, I'm quite used to doing that these days. So, yeah, we'll see how all that goes. But tonight, really, is about ERT versus speed, because come back to last week, we were all sat here thinking, well, look at this is going to be pretty formulaic. It's going to be 4 ERT drivers making it through the Dr. Pepper playoffs, as they're called, this season. It looked like Corey was going to go through top. He's now 5th and in the danger zone because of what was a very sort of chaotic race. And Ben Shaw was the winner, and he came through basically, I'm not going to say out of nowhere, because he had the pace all day, didn't he, in Texas, as did Kieran, who's put himself well into the running. He's still 6th at the moment, but at the moment the ERT sort of domination is really looking at threat. So Ben Shaw's through. The points coming into this tonight, thanks to Corey wiping out 3 of his teammates in one corner last week, is going to be Arnaud de Grief on 3,094 points, or let's just be simple, just call it 94 points. Casper on 91 points. Khalifa on 86 points. 9 points separates those guys, but then just 1 point back from that is Corey in the danger zone, and 9 points back from Khalifa is Kieran Spears, which means that all 5 of these drivers are within Mavs 17 points. 18 points. 17 points. Shush. 17 points, which means anything can happen tonight. And genuinely, I think we both said it last week, this could be the most boring last, round of 6 we've ever seen. And it's all very much coming to life. So that is the playoffs. Shall we have a look?
Before you carry on, Owen, there is a very small chance you could end up with the same Championship 5 as last season.
I forget what the Championship 5 is last season, actually.
Actually, I tell you a lie. No, I don't. Jake O'Sullivan failed, didn't he? He didn't make C5.
Did he? Well, he didn't this season. Did he not last season?
Ben Shaw, Khalifa Arnaud, Ben Harrett, and Casper. Yeah, we could end up with the same 5. But yeah, from Ben Harrett, you can move on to the chase.
Yes.
That's a nice segue, that. I've done well there.
Yep. Fair enough.
Thank you.
It's impressive. you have your moments. In the Tesco Value Chase, once again, it's going to be all about speed. We are riding with OK on his first qualifying lap, by the way, but if he makes it all the way around, I'll be very impressed. It is going to be, once again, speed trying to infiltrate and get themselves into the Championship 5. If we could end up with 3 speed drivers in the Championship 5, that would be a miracle, but it's possible. Ben Harrett currently tops the chase, as OK does make the corner. I thought he was going to hit the wall there, but he's made it round, probably with a few, less items in his bowels, but he's keeping on going. Ben Harrett leads on 554 points. 6 points behind Yuri Hasselager. He's been on good form. He's been in Championship 5s in previous seasons, down in the Kia Series. He was there for way too long. Maybe he'll win the Cup Series for once, because if he can get a good result here in Monaco tonight, he could make it at least 2 speed drivers through. I think he must be feeling somewhat confident going into this, if he can make something work. But we'll find out how he does in his qualifying later. But it's going to be Ben Harrett versus Yuri to look at. Slightly further behind is going to be Risky. That's a 13-point gap there between Risky and Ben Harrett. So that's going to need, I wouldn't say a miracle, but it would need a bit of chaos and for him to be the beneficiary of it. Jordan Lane, 19 points off. He needs another France. And for Yuri to not be joining him on the podium like he did in France. So the chase is looking quite good. That's going to be Ben Harrett and Yuri you're looking at. And then for the playoffs, it's going to be Arnaud, Casper, Khalifa, Corey, and Kieran to look at. Although it has to be said, we have one Joker driver here tonight, and it's Ben Shaw, which means he's almost certainly going to be leading this race, which means he has the power to basically slow the whole field down and make it work for Kieran, which I kind of expect might happen later on.
Yeah, and of course the stages as well, they would favour a longer first stint. They come at lap 10 and lap 30. So if Ben Shaw goes hard from lap 1 all the way to 30, you'd like to think he should be somewhere handy for a little soft run at the end. And maybe a little bit of manipulation to get Kieran in. I think he'd rather Kieran join him in the Championship 5 over the likes of an Arnaud or a Khalifa, or certainly a Corey, who has been the man this season. But who knows what's going to happen, Owen? It's Monaco, it's an elimination race, it's JACKOCAR, it's Thursday night. What more can I say? It's going to be fun.
Yeah, the thing is, have you ever raced in the Cup Series this late on into a season? Because you've obviously raced a couple of times, but I don't think you've ever gone this deep in.
I may have done one playoff race before, but I've always sort of kept it as regular season.
Yeah. Apologies if this is looking very confusing, all these people on track or not on track, because I'm looking at the qualifying order and it is really just blowing my mind, because Michel Goris just hasn't bothered to come out, from what I can tell. Jordan came out and then pitted without setting a lap, which means Pete, who should have been our 5th time, is actually our 3rd time on the board. So I think I've caught all the laps we're meant to have caught, and it's the first competitive one as well, as Pete crosses the line in a 1 minute 10.6. Risky, you'd really hope he would be out there. So, oh, he finished his lap already. There he goes. No front win on that car, but he's still managed to get it into the 1 minute 11s, which is impressive. But I did miss him crossing the line. I do apologise for that. We're not going to miss Jamie Griffiths because he's so early on in his lap. So I do wonder there's a little bit of just people getting a bit lost in their timings, or it might just be me. As Arnaud,
can't miss that car either, can you? Of Jamie Griffiths.
No, it's a very Jamie Griffiths car, isn't it? It doesn't look right at all, but it, at the same time looks brilliant. It's not the colours I would associate with him. But then again, he's run all sorts of colours, hasn't he? He's run blues and greens and everything in between, and now he's gone for the fire motifs. And I am keeping my eye on Arnaud to see if he comes back, because you will have seen he left the session. If he's starting this race at the back, and he's second at the minute in the playoffs, and he's the one who's got that biggest points advantage, that would really just shake this up even more. So part of me doesn't want him to come back because of the drama of the situation.
That's what we want.
At the same time, he is an ERT teammate. Please come back. This would be an awful bottle if you manage this. As Jamie Griffiths comes to the line to go second fastest.
You wouldn't be the first commentator to not be impartial on a Thursday night. I do know that much.
Well, That might come later on.
I've celebrated the odd win or two, haven't I? Even the odd overtake, let's say.
This is it. I feel like keeping you in the car, even if you don't say anything, just in case something really impressive does happen during the race and you have a reason to start shouting. Because your favourite driver, Yuri, is in with that chance tonight, isn't he? So you might fancy watching him just in case something does happen. No one likes Wes, and you will find that out when Gareth joins us later on. He's next on his flying lap, and despite how good his car looks, I don't think we probably should actually praise him now and get all that out of the way just before Gareth shows up, because he really does not like this bloke.
I think you can check the stats for me, but Waze has had 10 top 10 finishes this season, which is really quite impressive.
Oh, I wonder what
out of the 13 races he's been involved in.
Well, I'm sure that exists somewhere on this massive table. It's a very impressive table. Yes, 10.
Thank you.
And 31 starts overall, but I'm going to have to assume that means this season. Anyway, he's 4th fastest today, so he'll need maybe a little bit better of a time to have been starting in the top 10. Right, Yuri, how are we doing? This needs to be at the top. It's nowhere near the top. It's only P5. That is going to be a concern. I don't think he'd be too pleased with that. Ben Harrett has a chance to take an early advantage as he comes through, and I can hear the clinking of some equipment, so I imagine...
That might be me.
I imagine that'll be you on your right lap. So I look forward to that, viewers. But
Saddle at the minute.
Yeah. Well, you've got Ben Spurs is actually nowhere near you if you've just left the tunnel, so we're right on board. All he has to do at this moment in time is be ahead of Fury and Risky, and that would be a low 1 minute 11. I would have thought he'd be capable of more than a 1:11. He's been very quick. I know he's in the chase, but we know how quick he is. And he's driving very carefully, but at the same time the rear's looking a little bit dancey, but he's very much avoiding every wall he can. This is, I'm tempted to say, a reserved lap here from Ben Harrett. Let's see if it works out for him. Across the line, slower than Risky, but only 1 place behind him, so interesting lap that. I think there's more speed in there, but well, it's the ones who try too hard to end up in the wall, isn't it? Here's Quint on board with him, and that's a very nice looking car, I must say. Have we ever seen a purple and red combination before? That might be new. I quite like it. You don't really care what I'm talking about, do you, Jacko?
No, I'm not really concentrating, I must admit.
Yeah. I'll try. Actually, I shouldn't be distracting your lap, should I? As Quinn gets himself round the final corner. DRS enabled. And across the line to go 7th fastest. I shall let Jacko finish his lap. Enjoy his livery for a few moments. My goodness, nice and twitchy.
Very snappy, as you'll see. But excellent car control. That's what got me to the Kia Series Championship 5 for the third time in 4 seasons.
You're actually out of breath, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm struggling here. It's a long COVID kicking into play. Why are you laughing? That's not funny, is it?
What a poor man's dying on live stream. That's incredible.
I'm 28, bud. I'm
28?
I'm past my prime.
Hey, I'm catching up with you. You don't go on about getting old yet. You're meant to be giving us some hope here, man.
It's gone. Was that a good lap or not? I'm behind Yuri.
Yeah, it was 1.4 seconds off pole. So, yeah, not a good lap, really, is it? Actually, I was going to say, for someone who didn't know he was going to be racing, but come on, you must have known a little bit. And you did set the calendar, so you kind of knew this was coming better than everyone else. So actually, you've got no excuse.
I knew it was coming, but I thought we would have a 20-car grid like we always do in the Cup Series. But it's only a couple hours ago when Leroy said he wouldn't race. So I was like, oh, I will.
And that's going to go terrifically well, isn't it? As Jake then starts his lap, you'll have noticed, obviously, no Gareth Hall. He'll be joining us in the commentary later on. So there was a bit of free time, which means that for Jake, it's just more sort of what-ifs, isn't it? This since Season 4, which is the only other time we ran this as the last round of the playoffs. He ended up just about missing out, didn't he? Because he was trying to fight with, who was it? Matthew up the hill, Matt
Redmore and Casper.
And it was Casper. And basically what happened was, he was done. He had no front wing. I believe it was Casper or Jake had no front wing. And he tried to make a move up in turn 4. It was a most ridiculous of restarts, and he ended up in the wall. The next season he was champion, and unfortunately this season he's come to Monaco with no chance of being champion. But I will say it again, it does give him the chance to act as a spoiler, because he very much is still one of the fastest drivers in the Cup Series, and he knows what he's doing around Monaco. So let's see if this is going to be a competitive time. You'd expect it to go top, and it does. 1 minute 10.2, and we're now into the top 6. And I believe you can go into commentary mode.
No, I'm actually going to go for a wee, and then I'm going to leave you to it.
Lazy.
But let's enjoy Ben Shaw go P1. There you are, I'll commentate that bit. Have a good evening, Mr. Wyatt.
Yes, enjoy. As she won't. As Ben Shaw then, with his new livery, which he was teasing earlier on. Looks a bit odd on the front. He's got no number on that, but I think that's more the game's fault than his fault. So, yeah, I'm sure that'll probably be... Actually, that will be annoying him when he realises that, but oh well. We're into the big 5, the first of which never returned to the session. So the second of which, and I'm going to pretend I'm not excited, because that is actually quite bad for his chances, Arnaud, because he's going to be starting well down the field. But it gives Kieran the chance he's been looking for, and I'm sure if he's realised the situation he finds himself in, he might be able to take advantage of it. This is Kieran, who just before this apparently did sweat out Vegas. And he'll win the race tonight because of it, won't he? Just the way his season's going, that'll be how he wins it. But yes, he must have misread the signals slightly, because it was always going to be Monaco, wasn't it? Why would we not do Monaco? Although Vegas, granted, probably would have been a better race. If it would have, actually. But, you know, drama. It's easier to hit a wall here in Monaco. And it's also the track we're racing at an F1 this week, so it all makes sense. But Kieran, no, he just wants to get a time on the board, and he has done. Second fastest, that's not too bad. He will be starting in the top 5 by default, so I think he will. He'll be happy enough with that. And here's Corey. Now, I actually myself this week have been experimenting with sort of copying the Senna livery that McLaren's running, and I came up with this same concept. And so, great minds, they think alike. I'm actually really impressed that Corey's come up with this, because it makes me feel so super smart. I did come up with another concept though, which I also think is quite... I might have to show that off later on. But anyway, Corey finds himself needing a Senna-esque performance tonight, because he is suddenly the man who's won 4 races this season. He finds himself 5th, which is the danger zone. 6th place, 5th place, they get knocked out of the playoffs tonight, leaving the top 4 and the chase winner to go into the championship 5. Corey's been top pretty much all season. He's got 4 race wins. Like I say, it's very odd to be in this position, so this needs to be a lap to take the pressure off, and it's not really. He's in 4th place. He's behind Kieran, the man who's chasing him down. He's in 6th place. Corey's in 5th. 2nd and 4th on the grid as it stands. I am liking the look of that. Khalifa, his form has dropped off recently. I think he'd admit that. I think we'll all have noticed that. And it's now time for him to show up and perform, because it would be a massive upset for the Season 3 champion to not feature in the Championship 5. He's been Mr. Pole Position ever since he joined this league. And he's not going to be anywhere near it again. Only P4. And the pressure continues to build for Khalifa. Casper, he knows what he's doing around Monaco. I would expect pole position, but with the way Team Speed have been looking, would it be completely off script to see them go 1-2 in qualifying again? I believe they did it last week. Ben Shaw from Kieran Spears. At the minute, it's Ben Shaw on pole from Kieran Spears. This is the final lap of qualifying. And Casper, he needs a big performance here to save his team, because if we see the Speed Boys lead from the front, they could be unbeatable, unless we get red flags or safety cars that come at the right time to help ERT. But they need a big performance. Casper's looking quick, but it needs to be pole position. I really do think that. It needs to be pole position, needs to be lead it into turn 1, and do not, under any circumstances, let Kieran win this race. A win for Kieran takes him straight through by default, and that's exactly what Casper is going to avoid, because that's P1, pole position. The big lap came from Casper, and that is pole position. And since Jacko gave me his lovely stats sheet, I can actually look up how many poles he's got. Let's see. I can't find him. His name's not on the list. It probably is. Is that only his 6th pole? Oh, he's been here forever. 6 poles in 85 races. Fair enough. Well, he's taken one where it matters anyway, and it's Casper on pole then. And like I say, look, on the formation lap we'll probably go over this, but it's Casper on pole, Ben Shaw 2nd, Kieran 3rd, Jake, I said he could be a spoiler, in 4th, Khalifa 5th, Corey in 6th, Pete 7th, Jamie 8th, Risky 9th, Ben 10th, Wace 11th, Yuri 12th, Jacko only 13th, Quinn 14th, OKK 15th, MK Born 16th, Arnold left the session, we don't know if he's come back yet. It could be the end of his championship as it stands. Michelle Garis and Jordan, again, he needs a massive, massive performance tonight to get any chance in this championship. And Arnold's rejoined. Thank goodness for that. That does give us all of our championship contenders here, ready to race. And once again, let me just remind you of how we are looking in the championship. For those of you who are new to JACKOCAR and are wondering what the hell a playoffs is and what the hell a chase is and all the rest of it, it's a F1 NASCAR hybrid done, of course, on the F1 game, where we run a championship set to roughly what NASCAR does. They keep copying us, actually. They've announced effectively what's the club card shootout for their own series. Instead, it's worth £1 million instead of, just some playoff points, which I think would have been better for them anyway. But that's probably confusing you even more than it was already, so we're going to forget I just said that. But the playoffs is where we are at the minute. Playoffs and chase, they run concurrently. First 10 races of the season, we establish a top 20. The top 10 from that 20 go into the playoffs. The bottom 10 go into the chase. The top 4 in the playoffs, by the end of the playoffs, of course, will go into the final race, the Championship 5, joined by the winner of the bottom 10 chase. So, with where we are at the minute, 2 drivers get knocked out every round in the playoffs, and so we've had 2 rounds so far where we've lost Quinn, Leroy in the first round, and then Jake and Gareth in the next round. We're now into the final round of the playoffs, which means tonight we will have 5 drivers set to race for the championship next week in Qatar, where we will basically just have a normal race, and whoever finishes top out of the 5 wins the championship. They tend to win the race. They're very good drivers. So tonight, what we are looking for is to basically find 4 drivers, because Ben Shaw won last week in Texas. That guaranteed him a spot in the Championship 5. Where we are at the moment, there's a 17-point gap between Arnaud de Grief in 2nd place in the playoffs and Kieran Spears in 6th. So basically, what that means is that anything can happen tonight. We could see Kieran Spears go from 6th up to 2nd. He could win the race. He's in a good position to win it. What he needs is for Casper not to be at the front, because if Casper wins the race, 1, that guarantees that he goes through, and 2, it means that Kieran needs a lot of favours to happen around him. And when Gareth joins in, it'll make it sound a lot more simple. But basically, you're looking for Corey, who's currently down in 6th place, and Kieran to be finishing up at the front, because they need to break out of the danger zone, which is 5th and 6th, to make their way up to the front. It's very self-explanatory, but I'm not used to doing solo commentaries on JACKOCAR. I need another voice in my ear to tell me all the proper stats and statistics. In the chase, like I say, only 1 driver goes through. The 2 drivers looking forward there tonight are Ben Harrett, who currently is sat in 10th, and Yuri Hasselager, who's currently sat in 12th. 6 points separate those 2, and so Yuri has got to make some overtakes in this race and get himself decently ahead of Ben Harrett. Risky is actually in 9th ahead of the 2 of them, but he needs basically a podium tonight to make things happen. So that's our chase sorted and our playoffs sorted. Let's say Ben Shaw through, Arnoud Arnold, Khalifa, Casper, Corey, and Kieran. They're all on the line tonight, those 5. Only 3 of them can make it through to next week's race, and Ben has got himself disqualified down the grid. What that does is it puts his car back on the grid. Can you see that yellow line on the left-hand side of the left-hand car? You can see he's well back from it. That's because he's parked incorrectly, and it will give Kieran, who already has the inside into turn 1, a decent chance of jumping his teammate. And when we see these 5 lights go out, I wonder if we'll see that all play out. 5 lights in Monaco. It is the last round of the playoffs. And boogity, 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 let's go racing. Front row on the mediums, and the guys behind are on softs, but the mediums have held through, and Casper leads away. It's Ben Shaw in second place, and there's a car well off and out of the race. That's Arnaud. I am wondering if something's gone wrong with his car there, because that looked very much to me like he was flat out. And Michel Garis has been spun off, and there's a front wing missing off MK Bourne. I am almost certain that something's gone wrong now with Arnaud's car. From where we were, this camera angle we were watching, that looked to me like the car just wasn't going to turn and wasn't going to slow down. But it's similar to Corey last week. But that's Arnaud, who's second in the playoffs, out of the race. At the minute, he would not be making it through, almost certainly. So that's Arnaud, man. Do you know what? It's Monaco. A lot can happen yet. But it's a very, very, very bad start for ERT. Let's say they were looking at sweeping the playoffs and having 4 drivers go through. They genuinely could lose 2 of those spots now to speed. They've already lost 1 last week to Ben Shaw, who currently sits second today, but 1 last week. Casper. I think that might put a bit more pressure on Casper, because now he knows that one teammate's already out of it. I think they'll genuinely see that as an absolute disaster if Speed take 2 drivers through to this Championship 5. There are no teams in this, but you know, we got rid of that years ago. But when it comes purely to your esports team that you're part of, you're not going to try and let others infiltrate, even if you aren't technically in a JACKOCAR team. Now we've got pit stops happening. These are not mandatory, any of them. Mandatory pit stops only start after lap 3. After lap 3 is ended, as Michel Garis retires in the pits. I guess he's just not happy with how his race has gone now. He doesn't think he can recover. Jacko's also in the pits. Quinn, OKK, NK Born 2. But yes, you have to make 2 mandatory pit stops from lap 3, end of lap 3 onwards. Unless you are Ben Shaw, because he is a Joker driver. The only one tonight. And he only has to make 1 mandatory pit stop. Now, this mandatory pit stop for him can be done under green flag or under safety car. The others have to do at least 1 green flag mandatory stop. They can do a safety car one, but they have to do a green flag one as well. And the stages in this race will sort of determine when we make these stops, because you've got to make your first stop from lap 3 onwards, but your second stop has to come from lap 31 onwards. Which means we're going to look at a very long middle stint, which is going to be interesting for the Joker, because Ben Shaw can do whatever he wants, really. The rest really have to muck about with their strategy somewhat and run a potentially slow middle stint, but we'll see what happens. Any late safety cars in this race could benefit those who just risk it and stay out. So, yeah, we'll see what happens with that. But up the hill we go then. I think anyone who has damage has sensibly pitted, and I say that because you've seen other races this season where people end up staying out and just surviving, but the issue you have with that is that around Monaco, if you're going to drive around with half a broken front wing, even for 1 lap, you're going to crash, and it's going to be quite embarrassing, really, for you. So I think it just makes sense. Just restart with a clean car and don't muck about. So I think, hopefully, it means we'll see some clean racing on the restart. Should probably give some focus to the drivers we didn't see in qualifying, because we didn't see Jordan in qualifying. And he's running a very nice looking livery, it must be said. It's nothing like the Sheffield Wednesday days, is it, where he had the green on there, but still, it's quite nice. I do quite like the livery on there. And, well, he needs it to do something special for him, because he's currently 13th. He needs, basically, to win, and for Ben Harrett and for Yuri to not finish. and for risky, basically, not to finish. It needs a lot for him to make his way to the top of the chase. It's almost certainly not going to happen, but we'll definitely keep our eye on it in case it does. And we didn't see Michel Garis, luckily. We rode on board for him a little bit when he had half a front wing because, of course, he went and retired at the end of lap 1. Safety car's in. And we now wait on Casper to restart proceedings. Now, there is a safety car restart zone. Casper will know what that is. And he will be able to control the restart from there. I'm noticing Khalifa's hanging back a little bit. He would ideally surely want to catch up and put pressure on the Speed Boys. Instead, it's Ben Shaw putting the pressure on Casper. As we get ready and we restart. Good work from Casper. That was perfect. He gave absolutely no chance there for Ben to attack. And a bit side by side there in the background already. Up the hill. Risky game to be playing, and I think it's Yuri getting himself past Jamie Griffiths. Either that or it was Jamie trying to attack him. Either way, they've survived it. And look at this, Pete Knighton having a very slow moment, and Yuri nearly going straight into the back of him. And we see around the outside, Jamie Griffiths having a look, and we also see a little bit of mess from Wes. It's all very difficult here because if you ever watched a real race around Monaco, you know it's practically impossible to race here. There's no room. Jacko's fine room. He's got himself past Quinn, who's broken his front wing, so he must have hit the wall somewhere, or possibly hit Jacko. But that might well be in the pit at the end of this first lap. I would be very interested to see who pits at the end of this lap, because you're basically dooming yourself to an extremely long middle stint. But if you're in the mid-pack, you're also giving yourself the chance to go for a long strategy. And if Ben thinks he's going to make that move work, I would be absolutely amazed. Around the outside of the final corner, that's surely not going to work, and it didn't. But that shows to me that Casper is under pressure. And oh, he's through. Has he hit the wall? Casper's hit the wall. Didn't see where he's done that, but that is perfect for speed, isn't it? Because if that's how easily Ben Shaw's got through, then surely we're going to see Kieran do the exact same. And he'll have seen that front wing's damaged almost certainly by now. So, Kieran, we had a go at him last week, didn't we, in Texas for not making the moves when he needed to. If he makes this move and gets himself up into second place, I am almost certain that Ben Shaw will help him win this race and guarantee his spot in the Championship 5. Because, if he gets past Casper, Casper's going to have to pit sooner rather than later because he'll just hold his whole team up. At the minute, Casper holding Kieran up might just save a championship. And at this point, again, Khalifa, you've got to close up and put pressure on the Speed Boys. They're having this all their own way, I think. Let's see. This is where Ben really caught up to Casper on the last lap. Is he going near the pits? No, he's going to stay out as Casper. I don't think he's got much of a choice. And Kieran doesn't have an answer. DRS on the next lap, but it'll only really affect this little curve of a main start-finish stretch. So I'm not entirely sure there'll be much help to be gained from that. I think he needs to pass this car ahead sooner rather than later. Look at him, he cannot get through the casino square. Throw your car to the inside, man. Oh, it's painful to watch, isn't it? I can understand the jeopardy. Because if you get the move wrong, you're definitely not going to get through to the Championship 5. He's currently the man who needs to do the most work here to make it through in terms of points. And then at the same time, he does have a good buffer over Corey, but I don't know, I'd rather have the free air in front of me to pull away. Down the inside, he's not brave enough. In fairness, into there, I don't blame him, Kieran, because you could see how late Casper was braking there. He was happy to basically take liberties into the chicane to avoid being overtaken. This will not be doing the tyre temperatures any good either for either driver, because I have a feeling they're both slightly having to overdrive here. Khalifa's pitting. That is an undercut. That's a definite undercut. That will work. Yellow flags as well, but they've gone in. This is very good stuff from Khalifa. In a finish, right, it dooms him to a long middle stint. We talked about that, but Kieran, he's got a pass. He's not doing it. That's a risky place. That'll be in the wall if you're not careful. And the undercut, it just gets better and better and better for Khalifa. He will be second place at the end of that pit stop phase. Assuming he doesn't put it in the wall or anything like that. Because Casper's just too slow. Casper's too slow, and Kieran is not committed enough to make an overtake. That's, well, you can see it. Ben Shaw's 4.5 seconds up front, so... Yeah. Not a happy bunny in there, I don't think, Kieran. And he's, well, I'm sure he's realised what's going to happen to him as well, because track position is key here. Khalifa will happily suffer this long middle stint, as long as it gets into track position. Yellows, that's OKK off, and in the wall, safety car. Well, talk about a change of fortunes. And this is basically, well, I was going to say it's going to undo the Joker. In a sense it does, because it means the whole field's got a first pit stop in, and Ben Shaw was past the pits when the safety car came out, but really, he'll still have the track position on restart. What this really does mean is that Kieran should now beat Khalifa out at the pits. In fact, Khalifa, I think Khalifa's the only person who's going to lose out to like an actual on-track position. There's only one position though. He loses out to Jake. Obviously Casper was going to lose out because he had to change his front wing. But actually it's not worked out as badly for Khalifa as it could have done. But it still has Kieran in front of him where he really shouldn't have been in front of him. So, there are 4 cars yet to make a mandatory pit stop. And they are the race leader, Ben Shaw. That makes sense. He has still got a pit stop to make on his Joker, and that's it. Everyone else had to make 2 anyway, so we're still evens on that. All good. Ben Harrett, you're going to make 2 pit stops. Jordan, you've got to make 2 pit stops, but you do also need a bit of a miracle, so I understand why you're staying out. Ben Harrett, slightly more confusing, although it does have to be said, you could still pit on this lap and not lose everything, because for whatever reason, Corey is falling quite behind there. I wonder if he had some damage or something in the pits, but he's on the hard tyres as well. I'm not entirely sure why. Doesn't really make much sense to come in and change, does it, at this point? I think you'll end up losing more than you gain, but for Corey, I think he might be sat there thinking, oh, I've made a mistake here, and yeah, we'll see how that one works out for him. As we see Pete into the pits. He'd already made a pit stop, but not under safety car, so this will get the pit stop mandatory safety car out of the way. But of course, there's have one more proper stop to make. So yeah, I think Ben Harrett might lose out a little bit here, because he definitely has to make 2 stops. Jack was here for the fun of it. He's going to be a spoiler for Kieran, I think. And he just wants the airtime, so we'll give him the airtime he wants. But again, not sure it's the best strategy, to be honest. But anyway, I suppose it gives Ben Harrett a chance to be not in clear air, obviously, but away from all the chaos happening behind him, potentially. We've seen here in seasons past, a pile-up's not uncommon. And I suppose if you're Risky stuck in the middle of the pack, if you're Yuri stuck in the middle of the pack, you get roped into it and your championship's over. Whereas if Ben Harrett gets roped in it, there's a good chance he's the one who's caused it at the very least, so he'll still keep his track position. As grim as that sounds, it has happened before where that sort of thing, oddly enough, benefits the guy causing it. Not that I'd ever suggest a driver would crash on purpose, but I certainly haven't. I've certainly never done it, but it does happen. Safety car, I think, might be in this lap, or maybe one more lap it'll be out for, but its days are numbered anyway. But I think it tends to make a late decision, actually, doesn't it? But I'm noticing OKK is still 10 seconds behind the train, and that might just help it, because we're not restarting on this lap. Wonder where Gareth is. Hope he shows up. Now, actually, what I'm going to do, while I'm here, I'm going to quickly check and see what happened to Arnaud. Ah. It's the game's, well, of course it's the game's fault. So he tried to take control of his own car, but it switched to another driver, and his car went straight into the wall. So, that disconnect in qualifying has absolutely ruined his season. That genuinely is a tragedy, that, because I don't see him making a Championship 5 now, and obviously he's yet to win a championship, is Arno. He's one of the great JACKOCAR drivers, but he's never managed that all-important championship. He has, in his career, 101 starts today, and obviously he didn't finish this one, but in that time he has managed 12 wins, which is a very good number indeed. 59 top 5s, 76 top 10s. He definitely has been right up there. He's got 553 laps led. You know, he's the type of driver who really should be in a Championship 5, and he might not. Obviously, there's Season 2, which he didn't win, which he could have done. He was right on the back, wasn't he, of Kyle and of Jamie Wright on that day. And then there was Season 4, where he ended up into the back of MK Bourne on the back straight in Texas, and it didn't work out for him then. He left the league after that point. Came back last season, and will it be yet another season where he doesn't win the championship? Ben Shaw, he's the reigning champion. He knows what to do. Ben Harrett would like to join Ben Shaw as a champion, but right now he just wants to stick to the back of him as we restart in Monaco. Now Jake has got himself in front of Kieran. Jake was very much insistent on helping the speed drivers last week, do you remember? So I find it odd that he's gone through on Kieran straight away and then straight into the back of Jacko, who's already spoiling things. Jake up the inside, they're touching wheels, and again Kieran's just going to have to sit back and watch this, because Jacko's going to show the door there to Jake. There's no way that works around the outside. Surely, Kieran, got to be careful there. Although I did tell him he should start going for more moves. So actually, I do like saying that. Good opportunism. But he didn't make it through. And, well, the gap to Ben Shaw, just to give you an idea, is already nearly 5 seconds. So that's how much this sort of thing costs you. Corey is right on the back of Casper now. I do wonder when he might move, because I do think, well, the thing is, Casper can't just lay down and get beaten though, can he? Because he could drop out of the Championship 5 as well. Could we see a bit of ERT civil war if we aren't careful here? Now, Jordan has pitted. Maybe he just wants to make his green flag stop now, and the safety car stop will make more sense later on, but he is also changing his front field up, and he's using his ERS. He knows exactly what he's doing, doesn't he? Don't see any sort of visual decay to his front nose, which sometimes does happen when you rear-end another driver, but that would suggest he's not rear-ended him hard enough. Thinks about it on the inside of the station hairpin. I think that's what they call it these days. It is hard to sort of keep out of it. We'll see what they call it this weekend. And Casper's got in front of Khalifa, which is an odd one. Like I say, Khalifa, like, if I'm being completely brutal, I feel like Khalifa's the one driver at the minute, based on recent form, he just doesn't deserve to be in the Championship 5. He just feels that he has not been at the races at all recently. And being done at the hairpin by your own teammate, I don't know. That feels to me like a driver who's not making it through. He's only 1 point ahead of Corey. So if Corey gets him, Corey will advance ahead of him. Although, of course, they're all catching points on our night. Which is where Kieran, who's ahead of all three of this lot, come in. It's typical that they're nose to tail, isn't it? Now, surely Jake's going to get through on Jacko into turn 1. That has to be it. And it is. But Kieran does well to follow him. And now Casper in the wall. Is there any damage? Nothing visual, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's not got some slightly yellow front wing or anything like that. As Casper pushes and pushes again down the inside of Jacko. Oh, this is tense stuff, because you can see Kieran getting away, and he's in the wall. That has to be damage this time. That was a big old hit. But again, the end plate looks to be there, and Casper's completed the move. Now it's Khalifa's turn. What can he do? And look at Jake. He's slowing Kieran right down. Down the inside. Surely he'll go. But no. And they're both on the back of Ben Harrett. So the train is certainly not over and done with yet. As Jacko doesn't move over. I thought he was about to move over there. Thank goodness he didn't, because that would have been some lovely race fixing from him there. But yeah, Jake is Oh, he must be loving this. Look at Casper. Oh, he's boxing Kieran in, is Jake. And, well, I'm sure if he's able to look in the rearview mirror, he'll have loved seeing that, because he's also seen Jake all the free air in the world pop up in front of him, because that is Ben Harrett into the pits. It's Casper up into second place, and it's up the hill for Khalifa and for Corey, getting themselves both through on Jacko. What about up through the top of the hill? Can Corey do anything on Khalifa? He must feel that Khalifa's not quite at the races today, but he is on the hard compound tire, not going to be all that grippy at the moment. And already catching a second on this lap, Jake on Ben Shaw. So we'll keep an eye on that, if Ben Shaw's had some sort of issue, or if he's just letting the field come to him so he can start playing some games. I would hope it's the latter, and not that he's hit the wall or anything. I want to see him play games, although I must say, I was saying this to Jacko last week because, spoiler alert, I knew this was going to be Monaco this week. I said to him that I don't think we've ever actually seen Ben Shaw win here. Something always goes wrong for him. And this is the perfect opportunity to win at Monaco, but it's, oddly enough, the one time in his life where he just doesn't need to win the race. It's the one time where he needs to help his teammate win the race, and it'll be interesting to see how he plays this. And Jacko is absolutely blowing up those rear tyres. I'd be amazed if there's anything left by the time he comes into the pits. That is looking absolutely horrendous to drive. Jake, let me look at the race director, because I would love to see the lap times on that last run through. 14 dead for Ben Shaw, and a 12.4 for Jake. That is blistering pace. Michel agrees, he's seen enough. Clearly Jake is too quick for him, and he's gone home. So Jake's also pulling away from Casper. So yeah, I think we need a bit of Ben Shaw magic here to cause a bit of a concertina again. But that's if Jacko doesn't cause one by bringing the safety car out. He's really driving on the edge here. He's ruining his own race. His race is effectively over, and he's showing waste of love there. You'd expect no less. Down the inside, bit of contact, yeah, lovely. But the thing is, actually, that's ruined Pete's race, hasn't it? I thought that was Wace's front wing that was coming off. No, that was... Oh dear, Jack, what have you done? You've scared off the Pete Knighton. Pete Knighton, who, I swear it was him, wasn't it, who caused the, Oh, what's happened here? Oh, Ben, has Ben Harrett run over the... No, do you know what he's done? He's hit the wall, and his own front wing's punctured his front right tyre. But that is catastrophic. Not only was he already on a bad strategy to begin with, but he's now crawling back to the pits to make an unscheduled pit stop, having, I think, possibly done his own car in. I don't think that's him running over Pete's front wing. I think that's him hitting the wall himself at where would that be? To back? Where Hamilton hit the wall back in 08, if you remember. Went on to win that day. Could be an omen there for Ben Harrett, but he needs a bloody well miracle, doesn't he? He's down in 17th. On the soft compound tyres, he'll get some fastest laps in, but he's already nearly a lap behind. That's how catastrophic that mistake was for him. And if you're Yuri right now, he's sitting pretty in 8th place, you're looking good to get into the Championship 5. And if you're risky, you're sort of hoping Yuri finds a wall to hit, because you're not looking too bad yourself in P7. So, yes, this is getting good, isn't it? And Ben Shaw is still being caught hand over fist. The thing is, we forget Ben Shaw's not had the best season. He's really shown up in the last 3 races, but we got to remember the underlying pace hasn't been there for him in this game ever since we went to the random calendar. This is why I said it was such an advantage for him of all drivers to win in Texas, because I think he's the one who needs to practice the most. And I hope he doesn't take that the wrong way. I think he'll know what I mean by that. Whereas I think he's at his best when he knows exactly what he's going to do. But when you go into a random track, and I know everyone has that problem, I think it's been affecting Ben more. And so, yeah, the pace maybe not the massive surprise, though of course Monaco is natural to him anyway. I'm sure he'll be able to hold him back when he arrives, Jake, because, I mean, good luck passing here without punting the guy out of the way. Now, you would have seen that Kieran has just picked up a 3 second time penalty. I am wondering, actually, if there is front wing damage here on on Casper, because he did nose it into the wall pretty hard, didn't he, at the station hairpin. It's not like I know in F1 terms, yeah, he basically tapped it, but I do think it was still a hard enough tap to have done damage. Because he's 4 seconds behind Jake now. Still quicker than Ben, but again, it's going to need a pretty big concertina. And look at this. We've got Kieran still doesn't want to go up his inside. When is he going to go up his inside? Maybe it'll be into the next corner, or will he back off again? This is why you're not winning this championship, Kieran. You've got to get a move on. You're the one who's going to make the most grind up here. And as much as I imagine Ben Shaw's going to help you, you've got to make your own luck sometimes. And at the moment, that involves getting yourself past Casper, because you've got a penalty. You're stuck behind a guy who's going to keep you in this train, which will mean you finish behind Khalifa and Corey as well. You've got to do something quite soon, if I'm you. So, yeah, let's see what Kieran can do. We're only about to hit halfway in a couple of laps anyway, so I don't think it's a complete disaster yet, but we're closing in on it. Can Kieran find a way around the outside? Well, no. Ben Shaw makes his pit stop. That's, didn't want to wait for a safety car then. That does put him back in the pack a little bit. So he's got to be careful with what happens here. What tire has he gone on to? It's going to be hard. I don't know about that. I don't know. I feel like the rest of the grid might be looking at that, and they might have a big old smile on their faces. But oh, that's Pete out of the wall. No, that will help. That will help Pete as Gareth joins us. Good evening.
Good evening. I'm here to balance out this awful ERT bias that I've been hearing for my way home.
Well, you know, I can't. Well, the thing is, right, I can't lie to you. You'll also have heard how frustrated I've been at the fact that Kieran is refusing to pass Casper, because we've got a race on our hands here. If he can do that, you've joined us just as Pete, I know, shock, has binned it into the wall and out of the race, and our Joker driver, Ben Shaw, has just made his pit stop. So he's on the hards going to the end. I wonder if he might change those at some point, because I'm not entirely sure he wants to be on them, but yeah, we're in a pretty good position for this race.
Yeah, I think looking at it, you've got, obviously Ben didn't really have an option. Starting on the mediums, going on to the hards is really the only way he could take that strategy from here, unless, as you say, a double soft stint. But I'm sure he'll want that track position, taking that safety car stop. But yeah, Kieran, he's just kind of tiptoeing his way around as Casper dips into the pit lane and takes a front wing.
That confirms my suspicions then, because I know he was quick earlier on. He nosed it into the wall at the station hairpin when he was on the back of Jacko, and I thought there was damage. There was nothing visual, but that confirms to me that there was damage. Risky's also been into the pit lane. Risky, who, like I say, he needs a bit of luck with Yuri being currently in P5, but this new tyre could do him a favour or two. He's only really lost, 1 or 2 places there. It's not actually the end of the world, that pit stop for him. And, yeah, we're going to be keeping an eye on him in a minute. If you missed what happened to Arnold, by the way, basically, when he DC'd in qualifying, he tried to come back, and it wouldn't let him control his car. And Codemasters thought, I know, I'll floor him into the wall. That'll help. Yes,
I've seen Leroy have the same issue as that in another league as well. It's wonderful. I'm sure it'll be in the new game as well.
Khalifa, that might be a penalty. Oh, he's got away with it. I tell you what, he's straight lined the Nouvelle chicane there. That it was at low speed, but knowing what this game's like, he's lucky to get away with that.
Well, I think Khalifa's in a tricky position here, because he's got the team killer directly behind him, and we've seen that Corey has sniffed out the rear end of an ERT driver over the last few weeks or so. So he's got to watch out. I think Corey on the hard tyres is obviously going to have the tyres come to him later on. These mediums that the guys are running, as you say, it's a very late second stage. So I think we're going to be seeing some softs going on, maybe on that sort of like lap 32, 33 mark when they get into the second stage. Corey is kind of hedging his bets on the fact that the mediums will slowly start to die off in, I'd say, probably about 6 or 7 laps or so, around the sort of 27, 28 mark. It'll be interesting to see what Casper does from P8 now on fresh softs, and of course with his entire complement of downforce attached back to the car.
I do think he's more aggressive than others around here. I mean, we saw the moves he was making on Jacko. It's what put him in the wall in the first place, so perhaps he might be a bit more reserved on that. But again, he can see his target. He can see Ben Shaw in front of him. He needs to make Ben Shaw's day as difficult as possible, because right now I do think Ben holds all the cards. If he can make it happen, he will make Kieran win the race. Because as far as he's concerned, I was saying this before, this is the one race actually where he doesn't really need to win it. He needs to help his team through, because I think especially with where Yuri is at the moment as well, you can't muck about with Yuri either, because at the minute 3 speed drivers are going through into the Championship 5, and that is a humongous upset from where we were looking at just last week. It looked going to be formulaic for ERT just to bind all their 4 drivers in, and now it's not looking that way.
No, it's been quite the turnaround, and as you say, Ben kind of turning it on in the playoffs, and after having a bit of a shocker of a season, spending too much time with with his Portuguese bride than actually practicing on the game. But as you say, like with Benny and Kieran kind of peering in, but with work to do, I actually think that the interesting fight here, yes, Casper's got work to do on these soft tyres, but Corey and Khalifa are split by a point.
Yeah.
And at what point does personal ambition overtake the fact that you're in the same stable as the guy in front of you? So if Corey wants to get into the Championship 5, he needs to overtake Khalifa at some point in this race.
I mentioned that earlier on, because the thing that worries me about this is that Khalifa's definitely slower than him. I've got no doubt about that whatsoever. I'm 100% sure that Corey is the quicker driver of the two. He's been patient so far. I suppose maybe part of him knows what happened last week, but that wasn't really his fault. But he has to make something happen. He was top of the championship this time last week. He's not going to let himself get taken out. He knows Khalifa, if he keeps this pace up in Qatar, is going to have no chance at winning the championship. So he's got to make it happen at some point, and I agree, it could become quite difficult to manage that, especially when they're both looking at Kieran in front, who's probably hoping for them to end up in a fight.
Yeah, and I mean, Corey, 4 wins on the season. It would be an almighty bottle for him to not make the C5. And at the moment, well, looking at the points, he is one of the ones in the elimination zone. So it's a real fight here for Corey of, does he play the team game until late in the race? And I'm sure there'll be some sort of negotiations going on as the cars are checking up going into the swimming pool there. And I think that was that Waste getting into the back of Ben Shaw. So he may just have got away with that, but I'm sure with these guys all getting very, very close, there's no need to be this close this yet. Wait until you get through Anthony Noakes, and then you can close up. But Jake on the restart, Kieran in P2. As you say, Kieran with that 3-second time penalty has got work to do. Kind of needs to clear Jake. Jake's already out, has no fight in this, no dog in this fight. He can disappear. But Kieran, Khalifa, Corey, Yuri, big result in P5 at the moment. But he needs a little bit more than that, because I think Ben Spurs is going to be quick on this restart.
Of course, the thing that ERT had to think about as well, someone's got to have to get their calculator right, because with Arnold not in this race, they might be okay as long as Kieran doesn't win it, but they don't know what they will not know what the Maz are. As we see Waste have a really bad restart, I think that might have been even more front wing damage done there to Casper. If it wasn't, then he's a very lucky boy indeed. He's made it through the corner. Ben Harrett, again, quite how he's not picked up any damage when he's got involved in all that is beyond me. Now, Yuri and Ben fighting. They've got through safely. That is a big deal, that, in this championship. But now, Ben gets to be the chaser on the ERT drivers. He's going to be relishing this.
Yeah, just looking at Corey picking up a 3-second time penalty on the restart as well, cutting the first corner. He did it ever so finely, but of course, tiny margins here is down the inside. That's risky. Trying to go around Yuri, so this is actually a fight to win the chase. They're side by side, banging wheels on exit, and he's actually trying to let Casper down the inside as they go into the back. Casper down the inside through the swimming pool. This is close, and Casper has to back out right at the end, and this is bringing Jordan into the party as well. But Casper saw his opportunity with Yuri and Risky, and these are 2 drivers as well. They're also fighting with each other, and you can see both of them want to get into it. Risky knows he's got a little bit more work to do than Yuri does. Risky needing to overhaul them by quite a handful of points, so he needs to be on the podium with Ben Harrett finishing, well, probably down in 15th position. Yuri also finishing down outside of the top 10, so that's a big move there from Sully to get past. Casper has now cleared Yuri. Yellow flag out.
Oh,
that's for
Ben
AKK
again,
and Ben Harrett.
Yeah, Ben Harrett's now got a rear right puncture and a front right puncture. Again, I think that's from his own front wing again. That's unbelievable. It's happened twice. His front right earlier, his rear right this time.
So OKK can't pass him because Ben's creating a yellow flag.
Yeah. Oh, dear. Oh, Ben, this is tragic. But the thing is, it's not over yet. As we see Khalifa, he's got the move done as he's alongside and towards the back. He has to back out. But he's trying to make the moves happen now on Kieran. But look at the train this has caused. This is so risky. And the thing is, I was going to say, Risky himself is part of this. This is where his pit stop comes into play. Casper can try and overhaul him, but they're both on the same level of tyre wear, which is not what can be said for everyone else in this train. Risky's extra stop could be absolutely crucial, because right now, he is on the podium.
Yeah, massive at the moment for Sullivan Lewis as their cars head up the hill.
They're going to catch these two. This is really bad. I
was just about to say, they're in the top. This is almost a Mr. John moment.
Okay, just get past him, man. You're last. Do you know what I mean?
I think OKK is here to give him a bump. He's giving him a bump if he's slow, because you can see he's going to call to a crawl.
The car is going to bottom out. This is now.
Here they come.
Oh my god.
They're right in the middle of the racing line as well, and they can't move.
They've got, look at that. OKK's now really pushing him along. That is good sportsmanship. But I hope that they all see this going on, because they must be very confused.
I think they've got to a position now where they've just got off the racing line, but that is very, very close. That does now, however, put Ben Harrett a lap down. Contact there between MK Bourne and Jordan Lane.
Look at Jacko coming through. They've all missed them, so well done. Generally well done there. That could have been a real mess, but it is a real shame to see that this happening to Ben Harrett, because there's just nothing he can do. Again, it might not matter. It might not matter because he needs things to happen around him, but he is still the guy who has the points advantage. So if Yuri has a bad day and Risky needs a good day, and he has been overtaken by Casper now, so if anything happens to Yuri, it could be on.
Well, you've got to say that if Ben Harrett does end up winning the chase, he's going to have to send Michael OKK a big thank you letter in the post, because at the moment Michael is throwing his own race to literally push Ben back to the pit lane. Ben riding around on three wheels, and the front end of the car is lifting up, and Michael pushing him through and through. But they're actually coming back round down through the tunnel. There's a good chance they might even catch him again by the time they get through to the pit lane.
Luckily, they've got through the swimming pool section. If they caught in the swimming pool section, then there's just no way to avoid. And look at that. Is Corey and Ben fighting? I believe they are. I can't quite see that front right end plate. Is it broken on Ben's car? We really need to see a better angle of that. I couldn't tell. I
think he's all clear. It does look as though he's all clear.
It's a black end plate. I just couldn't tell because they were side by side. They are okay. Okay. That's just a tragic way for that to end, isn't it? He's done all the work and the game just disqualifies him. But
I think Ben is coming to a crawl in the pit lane. I don't think he's going to have enough for the AI to take over.
Now, what does the game do in this situation? Because Ghosting isn't on, is it? So, I mean, how long is this going to take?
There we go. He's coming to a full stop now. So what this actually means is, he is still technically moving, though he's now stopped, so I think this might be a disqualification. He's not far enough into the pit lane that the game's able to take over, and you can see the tyres spinning, but there is no movement whatsoever. So I actually think this is Ben Harrett out.
Ben Shaw has hit the wall this time, and he has broken the front wing. And that looked to me, he either got a push from Casper, or he just put it in the wall himself. It looked very odd, but that opens this right up to everyone. And he's moving over for Risky to go through. He knows it's done for him. My goodness me.
So this changes the complexion of the race, as you say, because Ben is going to have to get back to the pit lane and put another set of softs on.
By the way,
and that does
Ben Harrett, it does
it's
say
blocking the pit lane.
It does say that he's in the pits, so
yeah,
what happens now?
I don't think it ghosts either, because his car is very, very slowly, incrementally moving forward. The tyres are still spinning, but it means the pit lane's blocked.
Oh, Ben Shaw's not pitting. Is anyone going to pit? That's what we need to look out for, because if that does happen, it might damage the guy pitting as Casper gets past Khalifa now. And look at Risky getting through there. Oh, that's even more damage for Ben Shaw as he goes into the back of Corey. Surely. But that is Risky taking this championship into his own hands. What a race he's having at the moment. Brilliant strategy call, it has to be said, to pit under that safety car. It's really working out for him. But my thing is, I'm hoping that whoever pits next might just give Ben Spurs a little push that just engages the game. If not, we could be in some serious trouble. Someone might have to tell him to retire, frankly. I think that might be the only thing he can do. He's not going to get a result here anymore. So,
but this is the thing here, that the people that are going to be pitting next are Jake, Khalifa, Corey and Yuri.
In 3 laps time.
All drivers that need to be making stops. And I mean, Ben at the moment, yes, he's trying to get into the pit lane, he's trying to move forward, but he's actually playing a bit of gamesmanship here, because he kind of knows that his race is done, but he can block the pit lane. And if he blocks the pit lane for drivers that need to make a pit stop and it doesn't ghost them, they'll get a disqualification in the same way that Michael KK did.
He's in the pits, he's made it out. Thank goodness for that. Oh, thank goodness for that. That could have caused a really ugly end to this championship, you know. But there we go. He's got out. Kieran has become the spoiler, because he is holding this whole pack up. He is, well, way slower than Casper, just purely because of the tyres alone. And he's having to defend for his life. And it's keeping Ben Shaw in this. And it's keeping Yuri just about in touch. Again, I'm looking towards Risky to be the man to make the difference. Here comes Casper, but he's just not brave enough to make the move. Maybe into the Nouvelle Chicane, but Kieran's got it covered. Here comes Risky on Khalifa. He's not quite close enough either. Oh, this is so difficult, this. How do you deal with this? It's impressive they're not hitting each other, it has to be said. They are driving very well. But I do worry about this.
Sully's in an awkward position here, because he's got the nicest tyres of anyone really around him, because even Casper's softs will be slowly starting to go off now. So he'll be having the worst of times, knowing that the slightest bit of wing damage will completely ruin his chances of a C5 appearance. Corey behind him. Ben Shaw does come in to take that pit stop and take front wing, so that's the Joker gone, but of course it means he can get back in the fight if there is a safety car that comes out later in the race, as Risky all over the back of Khalifa, and equally Casper all over the back of Kieran. Kieran moving around to block. As you can see, the car just not wanting to go in the right place. That's a jink across, and he's going to get a little bit of a punt. There's testing out the new F124 physics there as he puts the hammer down into the first bit of the right-hander as they go down the hill, and I think at the moment Kieran's doing enough just to irritate Casper into potentially even making a mistake, and I don't think it's out of the question that Kieran even plays a little bit of games here and forces Casper out wide into a wall.
Don't count Ben Shaw out of being part of this train, because he's going to get 2 laps of undercut over this. That'll undo the front wing he's having to chase, because these lot are just crawling around at the moment. It's unbelievable. They're losing seconds a lap.
Yeah, just looking here, it's Corey still in this fray, the top 6. Of course, you've got Jake that's disappeared now, 9.4 seconds at the advantage. But Corey knows that he needs to not only clear Risky, but then Khalifa is still there. They've both got a time penalty. And Wyra said earlier that Corey's tyres will come back to him. This is the stage that, in theory, they would be coming back to him, but of course he can't do anything about it because he lost the position to Sully on the nicer tyres. So as Ben clears waste down for P13 now, so making moves with fresh air in front of him.
Look at that. Is that Kieran locking the rears all the way round? This is just, it must be so difficult to drive in this situation. You can see Khalifa's dropped off the pace again. He can't even keep up with Kieran, and he's driving very slowly indeed. It's just that everyone's tyres are gone. We're going to see a mass of cars into the pits on this lap. There you go. There's a switchback for Casper. Brilliantly done. He's taken the place, and that did catch Kieran off guard. He'll sprint off. Will he do an extra lap? Will he pit? What does he do? Surely he's got to think about the pits this lap. That's what Jake's doing.
Yeah, Kasparon pushed past all the way through the tunnel. He was lining that move up as soon as he got into the tunnel, and Kieran just fell for it, just jinked to one side and into the pit lane. They both come, so not allowing the undercut. That releases Khalifa to continue on. So bold choice from Khalifa, and Corey goes with him. So Corey doesn't go for the undercut here, and potentially get ahead of the one man that he needs to really to get in.
I don't really know where we are with safety car stops. This is my issue. I don't know if anyone's waiting for any of those. I would have thought not, though. Jordan, possibly, actually. No, Jordan is waiting for a safety car pit stop, isn't he? If he gets one, he does need that sort of miracle to put him in the fray, because he currently sits 19 points off Ben Harrett, but Ben Harrett's obviously last at the moment. So a win for him, he could make that gap up, but he needs the luck, basically, at this point. But I have a feeling he's going to try and stick this out as long as he possibly can.
Well, the thing with Ben Harrett finishing down in 15th, that's one point, or is that 2 points? It's 2 points for 15th and 1 point for 16th, isn't it? So
but even with Jordan, laps for leading.
Yeah, true. So he would need the win, as Jamie Numbers is just racking up the penalties tonight. This is audition to join ART is continuing. Jordan Lane now with Jake all over the back of him. Jake on those fresh softs as Jordan misses his braking point. Yeah, he's in. He's decided safety car's not worth waiting for. In I come. Looks as though he's not going to need to stack either. So onto a fresh set of soft tyres. Danny Quinn does come in and actually stacks behind Jordan. So that's a shame for Danny there. Through comes Kieran. Through comes Sully, and they get out ahead of Khalifa.
Have you noticed this? Look who just so happens to be in front of Casper on track. It's our old friend Ben Harrett. He might still have a say in this race. Because, is he going to ghost? He ghosts there. That's boring, isn't it? Oh, well. Jacko will make it difficult.
Jacko is fighting on position at the moment. 12 laps of hards. He's on a strategy off of everyone else's. Casper's going to go down the inside as they get to Portier, and
Jacko.
He goes deep. Go on, Jacko. He moves across. He's in the speed chat, I believe, at the moment. So he'll be in the ear of the other guys. They'll be saying fighting. But on the hard tyres compared to the softs, there's not much you can do. Ben Harrett decides to take to the runoff as they go into the chicane. Jacko relents, and now he's got Sully behind him. Let's see how far Jacko will hold up Sullivan as they go on to start lap 34. This race coming to a conclusion very, very shortly, and it's wide open.
Obviously, I'm trying to keep tabs of where Yuri is, but it looks to me like Yuri has dropped off quite a lot. And Risky, that is a genuine third place. They're not going to say that often unless he puts it in the wall. So, oh god, we're going to have to get the calculators out. But I have a feeling that as it stands, Risky's doing enough here to make it through to the Championship 5. I could be wrong, but I really hope I'm not.
I'm trying to do some maths, because at the moment, does Risky needs a podium with Ben Harrett down there, and as you say, I think Yuri's taking the front wing. But Kieran needs to get past
in front of him. That's the problem. Is he going to cause the problem? It'll be a move of desperation. But if Yuri finishes down 11th place, then he might need to put Risky in the wall. The issue is he is ghosting. I wasn't making that up. He does appear to be ghosting on my screen. So Risky, he has to make a genuine pass here. If he gets it wrong, puts himself out of the race, Ben Harrett's going to be into the Championship 5 potentially.
And he knows what he's doing. Look at him. 5-second time penalty. He knows he's blocking. He knows exactly what he's doing, trying to hold up the team speed drivers. And look at the train of cars all the way down to Corey in 7th position. All lining up behind Ben Harrett, who's 2 laps down, I remind you, because of 2 punctures in this race, one of them causing him to go a lap and a half down in the pit lane. And Sullivan is going to be going absolutely spare. He's looking down the inside. It's going to be a bold move, and he's into the walls. Ben tags him and puts him around.
Corey's off as well.
Corey's off.
That is exactly, unfortunately, what Ben Harrett had to do. And that is going to be highly controversial, because it's handing... Well, it's handing the chance, isn't it? It's handing the chance for Yuri to get through.
Yuri's surely in here.
He's only 10th, though. I don't know if that's enough.
He needs
has to
6 points.
6 points, yeah.
So Sullivan will be absolutely livid. I mean, Ben knew what he needed to do. He needed to keep as difficult for Sullivan. I don't think when Sully went down the inside that Ben needed to give him that extra tap to put him into the wall. But of course, all's fair in love and war. And
I'll play devil's advocate. I'll play devil's advocate for a second, because Risky's attempted pass into turn 1 was never going to work, alright? It was ruining his race anyway with that move. I wonder if Ben Hart will have the defense of, well, listen, I got out of the corner, he bounced off the wall into me. Because he kind of did, really, didn't he? He looked very out of control going into the corner. That was a man under stress making a move that wasn't very sensible in my eyes.
Yes, I mean, he went deep, and I think, yeah, he definitely would have clipped the wall. I think it's the secondary turn the bit that's caused the issue, because if you look at the eventual contact, that's actually cost Corey potentially a place in the Championship 5 as well. So I think that's where the issue's going to arise. I think, as you say, Sully did go. I mean, he had to at that point. Ben was not going to let him pass. He was going to keep racking up penalties. He needed to make a move somewhere. He thought that was the best opportunity, but it's the spin on the exit that's then collected Corey. Corey stayed out, but he's missing a front right end plate, and that potentially means the man that's got 4 wins this season, sitting at 1 point outside of the window, has just made Khalifa Al Khalifa's day.
Well, the thing is, right, I was gonna say, of course, well, it's fine, Kieran's got a penalty. But the thing is, right, it just depends how slow everyone fancies going. I think if you're Casper right now, you'd be being asked to drive as slow as you possibly can, just to make sure that Kieran scores basically no points. Because that might be the best way of attacking this now. Just make sure Kieran can't score 9 points. Because they're all going to pass. Oh no, but that means Corey doesn't get enough points to pass Arnaud. Oh, this is difficult, isn't it? What do they do here?
So just checking the mass, Yuri is in by 2 points at the moment. If he finishes in 9th position, he would be picking up 8 points there. He's 6 out, so he just needs to finish no lower than 10th, and he will go in.
Good on penalties as well.
Yeah, and as you say, there's a couple of guys with penalties up in front, and well, we're going to get a 2-lap sprint to the flag, because the safety car will come in at the start of lap 38. So I think there's a good chance that if Yuri can keep penalty free and keep it out of the wall, we might even see him up in the top 5, because we're going to see Corey, Khalifa and Kieran dropping down, so that might be curtains for Kieran. I think with that penalty and this safety car, that's probably called time to his chances of getting into the C5, and the of course former champion. It looks as though it's not enough for him. Corey the same. I think this has benefited Arnaud. If anything, the man that didn't actually manage to even start the race is going to get in on the fact that Ben Harrett, who was fighting for a chase position, has ended up taking not only one of the chase drivers out of contention, but potentially one of the drivers that was going to eliminate him in Corey.
So quickly, before we restart this race, I kind of think Ben Harrett's on the same thinking as I am, that the move into turn 1 from on Risky was bad. I think the only reason that secondary contact happens on the exit is because Risky hits the wall so hard he bounces back across the track. I think that's the point Ben Harrod's going to make. So I'm sure the stewards will have a lovely long think about it. But that safety car has come in, as has Jamie Griffiths. That's nice of him, isn't it? And Jake, well, what does he do? He might muck about, try and get Kieran into the lead. We know he has a bit of a bias towards speed based on what happened last week in Texas. So could Jake maybe decide this yet? There might be a very odd couple of laps up ahead, and we already see there Khalifa actually seems to me to let Corey go, and there's more chaos behind him. The whole front wing's gone from Corey now. Oh my goodness. And that will help Kieran, because he's just picked up another penalty. But I tell you what, if Corey stays this slow, I mean, Kieran might keep his points. We'll wait and find out. Yeah, just watching down the inside. What a move that would have been! But no way was that under control. Oh my goodness me! Look at this. Yuri stuck in the middle of a 4 or 5 car pack. Oh, you gotta be so careful here. Only 2 laps to go. Just keep it out of the wall.
And Yuri lost the position to Jordan at the restart and Quinn, so he's now down to P10. So he's got 6 points. So they would be tied on points. So it would go to go back to count back, and they're side by side. Quinn does not want to let his former stablemate in to the C5. Of course, Danny Quinn gets so much grief, and he tries to stay ahead of Yuri. Yuri does not want to be part of this at all, and the man that cannot win in Kia, well, is he going to ruin the man that's won it twice? Because Yuri, coming to the last lap in 10th position, is going to go back to race countback, and I'm pretty sure that Ben Harriott and Yuri both have a P2 finish this season.
Corey's 4.6 seconds away, and look at Wes putting Yuri off into the wall almost. But I tell you what, Kieran might finish on the podium here. That might be enough. So this last lap's gone very interesting. Off goes Yuri, and that was a chaotic, stupid move, if I do say so myself. And that might just have let Ben Harriott through to the Championship 5. What on earth was Yuri thinking there?
Yuri. There were so many cars in front of you with time penalties. You would have made it up if you didn't make the move. You could have let him go. There were penalties that would be coming. Quinn's got one. He would have dropped back behind you, but that is Yuri out, and Ben Harriott is now in pole position to make a C5 as Jake has Casper for company as they cross into the final corner.
I tell you what, Casper really took himself out of the race there with a wee tap into the second part of the swimming pool chicane. But Jake, it's come a week. It's come 2 weeks too late, really, hasn't it? As he takes the checkered flag. Good win in the end in Monaco. Good way to keep your strong form up. Casper second, Ben Shaw third. And yes, look at that. So, Kieran's ended up 4th, Jordan 5th, and Corey 6th. Oh, the miles are going to be difficult here. Khalifa in 7th as well.
Right,
gets beaten by Corey.
So
which
Corey and Khalifa...
him. They swap places.
Corey and Khalifa. Khalifa is eliminated by Corey.
That's mad.
Because Corey has countback wins.
Yes.
And I believe Kieran may be in eliminating Arnau.
Well, he finished his 4th place. That definitely gives him a foothold. That gives him... The thing is, though, he needs a 17-point swing, doesn't he? So it's whether he's managed that or not. The thing is, my man's is particularly terrible.
Oh, no, hold on. It might not... He might just... How many laps? Did Kieran lead any laps?
I don't think he did. The thing is, right, so who gets knocked out here? So, is it...
Khalifa's out.
And Corey?
It may be Khalifa and...
I think it's Khalifa and Corey have been knocked out, because Arnaud will stay up there. He'll go free, I think, in 4th. I think...
So definitely in his Ben, definitely in his Casper. So they are locked in.
Yeah.
Arnaud was +9.
Kieran, oh my goodness, maybe not. Maybe Kieran's not even made it through because Casper obviously beats him. Oh, this is Jacko, we need you.
I'm going to try and do some maths. So 50, 40. So 13 points. 13 points for Kieran. So Kieran does not eliminate Arnau, and Arnau stays in.
I don't think Kieran's actually... I think he's still 6th, to be honest with you. I think the issue is he's only beaten Corey by 2 places and Khalifa by 3. I don't think that's enough to overhaul a 9-point gap.
So Kieran finishes on 3,090 points. Corey will take 11 points. So Corey will go on to 3,096.
Khalifa.
Khalifa will go on to 3,000 and... Oh, does he go on to 97?
Well, he's only finished 1 place behind, hasn't he? But surely that switches them to be equal on points, doesn't it? Which would then knock Khalifa out on countback. Wouldn't it? Right, can we just confirm? Ben Harriott's through. We know that.
Ben Harriott in.
He's through. Ben Harriott in. We know him.
Arnau in. Ben Shaw definitely in.
Right, that's it. It's
Casper definitely in.
Casper definitely in. So
our conversation is Khalifa, Corey, and Kieran. I think Kieran's definitely out. So it's between Kieran and between Corey and Khalifa. They're your two that I'm just debating.
I based on what I can tell, I think just because Khalifa was 1 point ahead of Corey, but with 2 less wins, and Corey's beaten him by 1 place, only to 6th and 7th. Surely there's only 1 point between them two, which would then mean that they're equal on points, which would then mean Khalifa's actually managed to get knocked out. I think. But, Arnold, that doesn't help. He says that he's... Arnold's basically told us that it's going to be Khalifa and Corey in trouble. Thanks. That's what we're worried about. And Khalifa then puts a wee thumbs up. How about you? Do you know what? This is where my problem is. I've always let Jacko do the maths.
I know, and I don't have, because I'm here late, I don't have any of it ready. So, if Corey and Khalifa have been split by a point, and Corey obviously has the point advantage, then Corey would win on countback, which would eliminate Khalifa. So it would be Kieran and Khalifa that would fall out of the playoffs.
That makes sense. I do think we've come to the same consensus there. I'm hoping Jacko also has come to the same consensus, but in fairness, he probably could join the party at some point and confirm it, but he's probably also worried about the points. But yeah, based on everything I've seen in this league, it would tell me that our Championship 5 so far is Ben Shaw, Arnold de Grief, Casper Kling, Corey Dalton, and Ben Harrett.
Corey and Ben Harrett. Ben Harrett making his second appearance in a row, of course, winning the chase. Is that 2 seasons in a row, Ben Harrett winning the chase, or did he?
Sounds about right, doesn't it?
He did.
No, he won loads of races.
No.
He didn't win a few races last season. He must have got through for the. Who won the chase last season? Was it Ben Shaw?
When did Leroy get into the season? That was the season before, was? They all blend into one.
It does affect, doesn't it, really? I wasn't even there for all the season, so I couldn't even tell you. Do you know what? I think... Oh,
my microphone's far too close to my face.
Extra Gareth. Right, all Jacko's doing is arguing about the accident that happened on the... whatever. Right, do you know what? Do you know what's the best solution, right? Watch the Championship 5 show next Thursday. I hear it's very good. I wasn't able to be there, but who knows, maybe Season 10. I'll show up for another one at some point. And do you know what, actually, even before that, I'll confirm it on Tuesday for the Kia Series finale, when we will all sit back and enjoy as Jacko doesn't win the championship. He won't win it. And, yeah... Sorry, I'm not going to apologise. I've got the maths right. I know I've got the maths right. Our Championship 5 is definitely Ben Shaw, Arnold de Grief, Casper Klein, Corey Dalton, and Ben Harrett. That's been Gareth Hall. I've been Owen Wyatt. We're going to stop arguing about this now because it's stressing me out. Thank you all for watching, and enjoy the onslaught, Ben Harrett, of everyone who now hates you. I quite respect it, but I don't think the rest of your team probably will. Safe travels. I'll see you on Tuesday.